Martin de Alarcén, often referred to as the founder of San Antonio de Bayar, was responsible for the early settlement near the Presidio, which was established there in 1519. Alarcén left the Rio Grande on April 9, 1718 with 72 persons including 7 families, considerable number of sheep, cattle, goats, chickens, 6 droves of mules and 548 horses. On 1 May, he founded the mission San Antonio de Valero and 4 days later the Villa de Bayar. Alarcén was a caballero knight in the Order of Santiago Stede James. Little is known of him except for an official document of his record aimed at receiving an endowment from the king. He is credited with heading a company in Valencia, Spain, serving in Oran and the Spanish Navy. He was sergeant major of militia at Guadalajara, alcalde and captain of Jacona de Zamora, current Michoacán, Mexico. Alarcén was governor of Coahuila in 1705 and credited with pacification of aboriginal populations. He again became governor of Coahuila in 1717 until 1719 in the province of Texas in 1716. He was a soldier of fortune, performing largely at his own expense with annual salary of 500 pesos. Expeditions were generally funded on a commission basis, much as the development of Texas throughout its history. Land was the main bounty, with the leader receiving a percent of all revenue that went to the royal government. Alarcén's mission after establishing San Antonio was to explore the San Antonio, Guadalupe and Colorado rivers for potential new mission sites and to clarify all Texas officials on their mission. Alarcén's exploration took him through the future DeWitt colony to La Bahia and the coast and then on to the East Texas missions before returning to Mexico. The expeditions into future DeWitt colony were recorded by 2 friars, one presented below, and Father Pedro Pérez de Mezquia. From the diary of Fray Francisco Siles, the Siles diary was discovered in the Archivo General de la Nación, Mexico City in 1933 and numerous copies transcribed and distributed in various public archives. An English translation by Fritz Leo Hoffmann was published in 1935 by the Quivara Society, Los Angeles, CA. Bracketed footnotes are in places modifications of original footnotes of translator Fritz L. Hoffmann to the confluence of the Guadalupe and San Marcos Rivers Gonzales. May 5 to 17, 1718. On the 5th of May, the Governor Alarcén, in the name of His Majesty, took possession of the place called San Antonio, establishing himself in it, and fixing the royal standard with the requisite solemnity, the Father Chaplain having previously celebrated Mass, and it was given the name of Villa de Bayar. This site is henceforth destined for the civil settlement and the soldiers who are to guard it, as well as for the site of the mission of San Antonio de Valero, established by the said governor, about 3/4 of a league down the creek. On the 6th of the said month, the governor, with 25 men and the Father Chaplain, left in search of the Bay of Spiritu Santo, and arrived at the creek which they call Cibula, which is about 8 leagues from the above-named place. Present Cibola Creek near Selma, Bexar-Comalco border, current suburb San Antonio. On the way, at 3 leagues distance, a creek which they call Salado is encountered. It is bordered by trees such as live oaks, hackberries, and elms. There are also brambleberries and wild herbs on the banks. On the remainder of the way several ravines are found, all of them dry. All of the land is rough and overgrown with mesquites and very tall bushes, so that one can hardly see the men on horseback. Present Salado Creek near the bridge on the Austin-San Antonio Highway, called Arroyo Salagre or Salabra by Fathers Isidro F. Lix Espinoza and Ramon, Y 78 between San Antonio suburbs Universal City and Schertz. On the 7th, the governor left the said place for the second river of Guadalupe, which is about 7 leagues away. At 5 leagues a creek was found with little water, which, since it did not have a name, the governor called Arroyo de San Miguel. On the 7th, the governor left the said place for the second river of Guadalupe, current Guadalupe River, named after Nuestra Señora de Guadalupe in 1689 on its southern end by Alonso de la N. Father Dami N. Massanet and Domingo Ter N. de los Rios named it Rio San Agustin in 1691. Fathers Espinoza and Antonio Olivares called it the Guadalupe in 1709, while Espinoza and Ramon in 1716 called it the Sanibin, calling the Comal River the Guadalupe at the time afterwards. At about half a league, one encounters the river of Guadalupe, The first branch, the distance is about a league and a half. Comal River near New Braunfels, and from this to the second branch, current Guadalupe at New Braunfels. The creek, as well as the two rivers, are densely overgrown with poplars, oaks, savins, and pecans, and many mulberries and grapevines. So far as can be noticed, water cannot be extracted here, owing to the great depth that it has. The governor reconnoitered to the junction of the two branches of this river, which is about 2 leagues from the ford, and his lordship says that its flow is as great as that of La Veracruz Vieja. Where the Comal River joins the Guadalupe, the river in Mexico, is the present Rio Jamapa, near Veracruz. On the 8th of the said month, Mass having been celebrated, the governor, in the name or his majesty, took note of the two rivers of Guadalupe, fixing the royal standard on the said location as an inn. The said place was left at about 8 o'clock that day for the Creek of Salsapudes, to which the governor gave that name, because it is located in a thick wood. It is about 10 leagues from the river of Guadalupe, probably current Mill Creek. The road is about 4 leagues of good and open ground, the rest of woods. This day he traveled between southeast, and many detours were made to avoid woods, the compass being used because the 2 Indian guides had fled, fearful of the other Indians who live on the coast.